we ready right now? Okay.
This weekend opens Sonoma.
Hello and welcome everybody. We are out here at beautiful Sonoma Raceway. We are once again joining IndyCar for a Formula Car Challenge race / NASA National Championships. So this is our biggest race of the year. This is our biggest field of Formula cars, Formula Mazdas that we see out at the track. We have really tight competition this time. The field is a little bit smaller than some of the past years, but still we have a total of just over 20 cars, so still not bad at all. Our top 5, top 8 or so cars are insanely close after qualifying. We're actually prepping up for the race right now. Practice was pretty fun and interesting on Thursday. We had our share of troubles and humps to get over, largely due in part to some brake issues that we were dealing with. For our first practice session, we were toying around, figuring out different setups and everything, but my brakes just kept getting worse and worse throughout the race, trying to figure out what was going on. After the session was over, came back in, took a look at everything, and we found out that the pads on the front of my car were worn down to just nothing. I was riding metal on metal in the car, which is not good at all, and built up a ton of heat and froze up some parts that we had to work loose and everything. It was just an absolute pain. So we were trying to get everything rebuilt and put together for the car, and as we were getting all together, getting ready for the second practice, noticed that there was a crack on the rotor too, and so we had to shuffle some more and get stuff together and just hurry, and just barely made it for the second practice. In the whole mess of getting stuff together in time, there were still some brake problems following. We had to re-bleed the brakes afterwards, and so just our second practice pretty much blew by us. There wasn't much we could do. So we approached qualifying with very little practice time from this weekend. And qualifying, still we're dealing a little bit with car setup. The car was pushing a whole lot. I was turning the wheel and not a lot was happening. So it made a couple of the sharper corners pretty difficult. Stuff like turn 7 back there, turn 11, and the chicane in turn 9. I'd brake and set up for the turn, and I'd start turning the wheels, and the car would just want to keep going straight. So I had to do lots of weight management with the car to try and hold things together and get around the corner properly. So in order to aid that, what we did was we raised the back of the car a little bit and lowered the front to try and get some weight on the front of the car. With some extra weight on the front, we could hope to get a little more grip on the front wheels, and we also stiffened up the rear sway bar, which I think I've talked about in some past races too. Stiffening up the back sway bar with these cars helps to loosen up the back, so I can get the back end turn and get the car pointed where I want it to be a lot easier with less effort. For qualifying, after both those sessions were done, I qualified to start the race in 6th place, which is not so bad. Our goal for this weekend was a top 5, so we can still try and hit that for the race. All the cars in our group, like I was saying, are very, very close. You'll see gaps between them are only a couple hundredths or a couple tenths car to car. So we're expecting lots of close racing for this event. Hopefully it's all going to be safe. It's just going to be exciting. I'm probably going to be very tired afterwards because I'm sure there's not going to be a single moment to rest at all throughout the whole thing. So we've got the race coming up in about 2 hours, so we'll hope you enjoy. So here we are, getting all gridded up and ready for the race to start. We've got a group of about 20 cars, a little over overall, and I qualified to start 6th place in the Formula Mazda class for this race. So here we are, coming off the final turn, getting lined up. The green flag comes out a little bit early as we get on the gas right here, and you can see me rolling through the gears and start looking on the left side of the course, but things start getting a little tight, forcing me to lift off the throttle just enough to push myself back further and further. But if you keep your eyes to the right side, you can see a car respond to some other cars slowing down right there. It sends me off into the dirty part of the track and then sends me on a short trip to do some off-roading and all the way to the back of the pack. So from there, I'm having to work my way up through the field, trying to get at least up to my original starting spot, but of course it's easier said than done. So as I roll through, you can see I'm catching up to the next to the back car, maybe in the back car, coming into turn 11 here, just working on, you know, filling up mirrors, making people nervous, see if I can just force people to give me some room. And then I come up to a Formula Speed 2.0 car in a different class from me, and I start making my move, but right when I was alongside the car, there was a yellow flag that came out, and I was unsure if that may be considered passing under yellow, so just to be on the safe side, I let them by. Which ultimately means I have to pass this car twice if I want to get around. Now, passing these cars is always tough, because technically they are a faster car than the Formula Mazda that I'm driving. They've got more power, better aerodynamics and suspension, and you can see I'm having a heck of a time just trying to get around. And there you can see when we squeeze on the throttle, they've got a little bit more. And try on the brakes again, but they just, these cars just grab a little bit better than our Formula Mazdas do, so they're especially tough to pass when you've got somebody you want to try and get around. Thankfully, when we come to the carousel turn, I'm able to plant my car ahead of theirs and just enter the turn in front of them. Now later in the race, there was a full course yellow due to an incident that occurred earlier, and here we are on the restart of that. It was a single file. Everybody was fairly spread out, especially towards the back of the group, which was still where I was trying to work my way back up. So we've got another Formula Mazda in sights right now. You can see that these cars had a little bit of a tangle there, screwing up the exit of the turn for this one right here. So I managed to pass that car, and then later on that same lap, under braking into turn 11, able to fill up mirrors, show my presence, and kind of just get my foot in the door and call that corner mine as we exit it onto the main straightaway. So for that race, I managed to come out in 7th place, one behind where I started, which is not ideal, but I guess not bad considering I fell all the ways back to the back of the group after that first turn. So now this is day 2, our second race of the National Championships, and here I started in 7th place based on my finishing position from yesterday. You can see right at the start when the green flag comes out, so there's a car pointed in the opposite direction as we pass by the start-finish. There's a car smoking on the left there. There was some bad old incidents that kind of got us all to a shaky start. Thankfully nobody was hurt. There was unfortunately some damage to some cars done, but beyond the two that were involved with the incidents, the rest of us were able to get through. So this race was largely more running a little solo. We kind of spread out in the positions that we were in. I had a little bit of a battle with the car that was behind me, a really fast driver who I think got kind of caught up in some previous mess, but he caught back up to me and got around me towards the end of the race. For this race I was able to finish up in 5th place though, so 2 spots better than where I finished yesterday, and better than my starting positions for both races, so overall not too bad. We had lots of good, fun, exciting racing, and so enough to keep us on our toes, that's always good.